church. Okay, recording. So hello, beloved church family of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Judith Roberts, and I am your host tonight. I welcome you to our midweek oasis, our Wednesday night service. Our Wednesday night oasis is a place where we can come together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. Most Wednesday night services build upon the theme of the previous Sunday, sharing in a satsang style, expressing science of mind principles and practices with the intention that these gatherings are informal, intimate, and interactive. Our annual theme for 2024 is a grand rising. Our monthly theme for June is holy boldness. Last Sunday, Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman introduced ideas inspired by the talk title of Higher Heights. And tonight our speaker will continue the exploration of this same topic. Sounds very intriguing. As we gather tonight, I really want to welcome you. Early in her ministry with us, Reverend Sunshine Michelle invited us to come to the center well. To do so, she shared these 6 C's for us to consider and incorporate. Compassion. Come with a heart of love and tenderness. Communication. Come ready to exchange openly. Camaraderie. Come in friendship and family. Communion. Come in harmony and ready to share. Collaboration. Come in partnership and cooperation. And consciousness. Come in spiritual awareness and truth. So as we move into our program tonight, these 6 C's are the premise of sharing a wonderful evening with you. I want to welcome anybody who's new tonight. If you're new to our community or watching our recording, please visit our homepage, www.oaklandcsl.org, and click on the I'm New icon and look at the lower left-hand corner of the page to submit your email address. Once you do so, you'll begin receiving the village newsletter once a week on Thursdays in your email. It has all the information on what's happening at the center in the coming weeks. Before we get started with the talk tonight, please mute your own audio microphone during tonight's service. When you mute your audio microphone, it will improve the quality of our recording and tonight's transmission. You can leave your camera on, and in fact, our speaker tonight, Chantal Rohlfing, has requested that you leave your camera on. As a speaker, I can say also that I like to be able to see who's there and look into the eyes of the people. And, you know, it makes it more real since we're doing this online. So that's Chantal's request. And if you're able and comfortable, please do so. Turn your camera on. Please stay tuned in through the end of the service to receive special and important announcements. So I'd like to introduce our speaker tonight, Chantal Rohlfing, practitioner at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Chantal has been a practitioner at OCSL for 12 years and has been a part of several ministries, including the Spiritual Activism Ministry. She's also been a therapist for over 30 years and enjoys integrating psychology and spirituality. She recently completed a certification in psychedelic-assisted therapy. She's a proud member of the LGBTQ community and always enjoys presenting during Pride Month. So Chantal, thank you in advance for being our speaker tonight. As we do with every organized event at the center, we open with prayer. Tonight, Alice Knudsen, practitioner, also with Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, has volunteered to do the prayer. So I'd like to turn it over now to Alice.
Hello, everyone. So please join me in prayer. So just allow your eyes to close if you're comfortable. And just breathing in and breathing out, just know that this is the breath of life. This is God's breath, breathing you, breathing me, and entering into the stillness. This is the place where the power and the presence of the One resides. And there's only one life, one beautiful life, and it is God's life, perfect, whole, and complete. And it is my life right here and right now. There's only one life, one consciousness, one awareness. And how blessed we all are to know that we are one with this one. And God goes by so many beautiful names, so many delightful names to choose from. But Spirit is all good, all wise, all knowing, constantly blessing us abundantly. And so, right here and right now, as I breathe in and as I breathe out, I bless this time together, knowing that we are all individual manifestations of this light, this love, this enduring love. And so I bless our time together, knowing that Chantal is about to deliver a beautiful, enriching, and inspiring talk for us tonight. And so I thank her in advance, knowing that we are guided by Spirit and everything is going just as it needs to go. For there are no mistakes in God. And so what a joy it is to share this time together. And so please join me in saying, and so it is.
And
Bless me.
So it is.
thank you, Alice. Thank you. What a beautiful opening prayer for this evening. So I'd like now to introduce Chantal. And again, I'd like to remind you to leave your camera on if you're comfortable with that. Chantal?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. And thank you so much, Judith. And thank you, Alice, for that beautiful prayer. So it's good to be with you all tonight. And don't feel pressured to leave your camera on the whole time. If you want to turn it off, that's okay. It's just nice to see some smiling faces. To know I'm not alone here in this Zoom room. So I just want to start by just acknowledging Pride Month and saying happy Pride to everyone. And I was thinking about the topic higher heights, and it was reminding me of the feeling of exhilaration that I had when I first started attending Pride in the early 1980s, and the big parade. And there was sort of this just powerful feeling of coming together as community. And just at that time, it was a newer community. So it was kind of stepping out of oppression and people feeling brave and proud and powerful together in their identity. And, I was about 20 when I first started going to that parade. And so that really reminded me of that theme of higher heights, right? And much of that feeling of feeling so excited and high had to do with many of us had faced, feelings of rejection or discrimination, shame or secrecy, or grief about their identity before coming out and sometimes even after. And as probably many of you know, there's quite a high rate of depression and even suicide in our community for those very reasons, especially among youth and among the transgender community who face extra levels of vulnerability due to age and discrimination. So I bring that up because my talk, I didn't want to just talk about higher heights. I wanted to talk about the paradox between higher heights and lower lows, that both are part of being spiritual. So the basic message is we can't achieve higher heights without facing our shadow and our pain, without going down into the lowest lows. We've all heard of the phrase, the dark night of the soul, or in the 23rd Psalm, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And that phrase, the valley of the shadow of death, is sort of symbolic of a place of danger, pain, scarcity, and the unknown. And so, and yet it talks about, the images of, God being with you, or, not being alone on that path. So anyway, along those lines, Peter, if you could pull up the first slide. Okay. Need to get my notes back here. Okay. Fastest way up is down. One of my spiritual teachers always reminds me that when I just want to feel better, that I need to actually go down into what it is that's causing me pain. As we all know that spiritual bypass doesn't really work. We just try to feel good all the time. We can't really explore the pain and what's bringing us there. And we're not able to really release it or heal it. So it's, so you can see from the graphic that going down into the pain, the fear, the grief, and I would also say anger or rage, if we can do it by being held by healing and compassion for ourselves and maybe by others, we can face it and see what's there, right? So in fact, it can be detrimental not to face our pain, because if we don't, we can repeat the same patterns. As the therapist, Dr. Frank Anderson, says, you have 3 choices in life when dealing with your past traumas. 3 R's. You can repeat them, you can repress them, or you can repair them. So delving into our pain allows us to repair or heal it. You could probably put the slide down now. Thanks, Peter. So a quote from Pema Chodron. Instead of asking ourselves, how can I find security and happiness? We could ask ourselves, could I touch the center of my pain? Can I sit with suffering, both yours and mine, without trying to make it go away? Can I stay present to the ache of loss or disgrace, disappointment in all of its forms, and let it open me? This is the trick. So we're all human. So we're presented with various life challenges. We all deal with grief and loss, relationship issues, money issues, work issues. And I want to give an example from my life. It's a little bit vulnerable because it's pretty recent. But I had a huge challenge this year that brought me into my lowest of lows. When I ended up taking care of a family member who took a sudden turn into mental illness and had to be hospitalized. It was an extremely stressful time to see such a dramatic personality change from my family member. And they needed a lot of support from me. And in addition to giving support, I had to feel through my feelings of fear and of grief, and to find support for myself, both internally and from others. So I went there. I tried to consciously be able to be with my own feelings. I also called upon lots of support from other people, my therapists, practitioners, friends, and family, for emotional support and for prayer. And during the same time as I was feeling the pain, I was also praying to affirm healing for this other person and for myself. And so one night when I was completely at a low, as a matter of fact, my loved one had disappeared and they were in a bad state and I didn't know if they were safe. So I was just in a lot of fear. I was crying. I picked up the phone and I decided to call for help. So I called a spiritual practitioner and they didn't pick up, but I left a message on their machine saying, you know, this is the situation. Could you call and pray? Um, Turns out they never got the message. But almost as soon as I hung up the phone, I received a phone call. And it was from somebody that was with my loved one, that was sort of a guardian angel or good Samaritan or whatever, and said, you know, they're safe. Can you pick them up? And so I guess over the years, I've begun to trust prayer more and more because it works. So from all of this internal work, I found this deeper level of compassion for myself and for my loved one. And of course, the prayer has been working and they're improving and I'm feeling stronger as well. So instead of seeing life as like ascending a mountain and getting higher and higher, right? We all know it's more like rolling hills or ascending one mountain after another, right? But each time we face the pain, face our lives, and crawl out of that valley of despair, we can use it to transform ourselves. We have a new view, a new vista, and that new vista can be beautiful, it can be profound. We can look back and notice how we have less fear and more courage, less stress and more peace, and it opens up our hearts. Our hearts are more open. So just quickly think back to a time when you were going through something really difficult. Are you, that not something immediate, but in a little bit in the past. Are you in a better place now for having gone through it and healed from it? Was there something you learned or a deeper level of compassion or receiving support or affirming your spirituality? So just a thought to reflect on. Okay, so after having done the work to heal from our lowest lows, we can achieve higher heights by aiming towards what we want in life. So, Peter, can you put up the second slide, please? So, if we're unhappy, think about what it is that you desire so you can aim towards that. And to get there, we have to tap into our vision. And in addition to a conscious vision, it can also be important to let the vision arise spontaneously, like through those feelings of intuition, like, oh, this is something I really desire, want to do right now. The visioning process that we learn here at OCSL is about that. It's tapping into spirit via our inner wisdom. It might come through an image, a strong feeling, or maybe it's a very specific picture of an outcome. So there's a constant weaving in between these two poles. It might be we set our vision and then we feel a setback and we go into our pain. We work through that and then we aim towards the vision. So It's also a reminder not to stay stuck in the story about what's wrong, but instead to move towards the vision. So, example from my own life about aiming towards my vision is, and Judith mentioned this in my intro, I became interested in this new kind of cutting edge field of psychedelic assisted therapy, as I was hearing about its potential to be life changing for treatment of depression, PTSD, and other issues. So I researched it, I tried it myself, and as I learned about it, I felt more and more excited. So I applied to a program, CIIS, to get training in it. Just last week, as a matter of fact, I graduated from this certification program in psychedelic assisted therapy. Over the last 30, and what I learned is that, research over the past 30 years has shown that the therapeutic use of psychedelics can heal depression and trauma because it opens up neural pathways in the brain so we can see outside of our patterns of thinking that block us in our lives. They allow what's called an expanded state of consciousness that can indeed elevate our perspective and bring us into higher heights of spiritual awareness, or even sometimes take us on a journey deep into the underworld with lessons to be learned along the way. They can help us face our pain and transform it, often with access to spiritual images and truths that we might not find in everyday life. So I kind of had to smile when I was asked to give a talk on higher heights after finishing a program in psychedelics. So, of course, we don't need psychedelics to expand our consciousness. We can achieve higher heights in many different ways by deep meditative breathing, chanting. You could put the slide down now, Peter. Thank you. Deep breathing, chanting, singing, drumming, or movement. Those are just some examples. One example for me was singing in the choir at OCSL the Joy Choir was a deeply spiritual and expansive experience as we kind of joined our voices together to create something beautiful and synchronistic. Anything that can take us out of our busy minds can bring us, can elevate our consciousness, such as taking a walk in a beautiful forest or sitting by the ocean watching the waves. It's so important to get out of our thoughts and to transcend them into our bodies, into our souls, and just reflect for a moment about what brings you there. What activities helps you to expand your consciousness. So, as I've been mentioning, life is not just about ascension. As a matter of fact, we tend to learn the most from what we might call bad experiences in life. I notice that just when things are looking up, often a challenge comes along following it. Sometimes both come in a package together. For example, last year I had knee replacement surgery after a long period of pain, which limited my activities significantly. And it was hard work to recover from the surgery. But because I had this vision about the psychedelic assisted therapy, I had reached out to somebody to say, "Oh, can I assist in your training on that topic?" And they said yes. And guess what? It started the same week as my knee surgery. So at the same time that I was, recovering, I was assisting with this training, which was exciting and fun, and I love teaching. So, it kind of, even though the first week I was a bit out of it with the pain medication, it was a great thing to have something to look forward to during this long recovery period. So that's why it's so important to aim towards what we want in life rather than focus on what's not working. We can have joy even during times that are hard, is guess what I'm saying. And being inspired to do this next thing in my career has led me to feel more powerful and spiritually attuned in my life and in my work. I feel excited about it. I feel I can help people move out of stuck patterns and see things in a new way. So, and yet there's this voice in the back of my head that says, why are you starting a new career when so many people your age are retiring? Another voice in me says, it doesn't matter because I'm so excited to be learning and growing, right? We're never done learning and growing. And if we are, we're likely stagnating. I know you all here are into learning and growing because that's why you're here. We all know what those areas are that we need to grow in. We know what it is that we need to face to overcome to get to that next place. So in order to aim forward, we need to believe that we can change our view. Next, we need to give ourselves new experiences. And we need our support team. One of my prayers going into that training program was that I would find friendship and community to support me along this new career path. And that's exactly what I found. It was even better than I imagined. I was assigned to a home group of people that live, 6 people that live within a couple of miles of my house. And we have been supporting each other all along through the training, and we're still meeting ongoing. So, and they were just such loving and supportive people. So we need support when we're doing something new. So I'm just gonna wrap up in a minute here, and then we'll do just a brief contemplation for you all to think about it. I wanted to give a quote from Rumi. Sorrow prepares you for joy. It violently sweeps everything out of your house so that new joy can find space to enter. So I'd like to, if we have time, which I think we do, just bring you all inside for a moment to contemplate something. So just take a moment, take a breath, and ask yourself the question, what's one vision I have that I haven't yet pursued in my life? One that would bring me to higher heights. Then ask yourself, what thoughts or feelings are in my way? What do I need to work on in order to get there? And then ask yourself, am I willing to delve into the fears and doubts that I may have in order to transcend them and move forward in my vision? Okay, so when you're ready, you can come back into the room, and I guess I want to invite, first of all, we could have a discussion about what I've said, but first of all, anybody that wants to share anything from that contemplation. Any brave soul who wants to share their vision with the group.
You can raise your physical hand or you can raise your virtual hand to,
Catherine.
Catherine.
Yeah, I'll say something about that. My first thought with the question is, what's something I have a vision for, is that I'm actually now working on that. I'm working on a cello performance. And my mind and then went to all these other things. It's like, well, that's something I'm already doing, so I should come up with a new vision. And then, I thought about, all these different creative projects I've wanted to do involving theater and storytelling and animation and, and then at the end, I realized I didn't need to come up with a new vision. Like, it's actually great that I'm working on something now actively. So that's just a little affirmative experience for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was with a friend yesterday who said, how long has it been since you did a solo performance where you did the whole program? And I said, and I realized not since high school. So yeah, it's kind of a big deal, and it feels good to be moving towards it. And there's plenty of obstacles that I've had to overcome, but it's not been too much to stop me. I'm really self-conscious right now because I'm looking at myself talking.
Join the club, yeah.
Right.
Thanks, Catherine. I think that's a really good point. Some of us are already moving towards a vision, and have already overcome something to get there. So that's a great example.
Thank you.
And also, I think when that person asked you the question about doing solo, I thought to myself, maybe that's a sign from the universe. It's just like listening to just signs that come our way that say, oh, that might be a vision.
Mm-hmm.
It may or may not. I don't know, but anyone else want to share? Okay, well, let's just open it up for any questions or comments.
Andrea wants to.
Yeah, Andrea. Hi there.
You're muted. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So this is just a little bit about my process. Well, mostly in my professional life, I've been a teacher of young children, of early childhood education and elementary education, early grades. And then I finished that up, and there were several periods of time where I was talking to a career counselor, and who was really quite good. And and she tested me on all these things. And in terms of my interests, I ended up being someone who's pretty interested in art and music and cooking. And so during the pandemic, starting from the beginning of the pandemic, I kind of took those seeds that had been planted in my consciousness, and I cook a lot now, and I really enjoy it, and I never really get tired of it. And I love listening to music. Catherine will be playing her cello. I love that. And I love listening to symphonies on YouTube. And I can play trumpet and piano, but I haven't really developed that part of my current self. And then and I love doing art too. So I'm just saying that sometimes finding your vision has to do a lot with slowing down and finding the seeds that are already in you.
I
And
love
that's-
that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andrea. I love the finding the seeds that are already in you. And often there are seeds of the, of that when we're small children. Right. Who else wants to talk about higher heights or lowest lows and how they're connected?
I would like to, Chantal.
Great.
At first when we talked about your slide saying, what did it say? The first one, that to go to your highest heights, you have to go down.
The fastest way up is down. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? The fastest way up is down. And we talked about what a paradox that was. And then I remembered that some lines that stuck with me from reading Khalil Gibran from the Prophet was that joy is your sorrow unmasked, was one of the lines. And the other one was that the height of your joy measures the depth of your sorrow.
Yes.
And it speaks exactly to what you said. It's another way of saying it. And I read that first when I was 14, I think. And I get it. I get it. And it is a paradox, but it makes a lot of sense. And especially when you think about your own sorrow, your own depth of sorrow. If we allow ourselves to go there, it's difficult, it's intense, but then the height that can come,
Mm,
it's like clearing the way. I think you said that. It's like clearing the way
yes.
for
Yes.
the joy to be able to come in.
Yes.
Anyway, I think it's a beautiful topic, and you've addressed it beautifully, and I totally resonate with it. It took me a little while to get there and remember that, but now I just think it's so true. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I love that quote. Because a lot of the time we sort of settle for the middle, like, oh, it's just good enough, right? And it's because we want to avoid just going deeply into the pain.
Yeah.
But then we can't, go as high, right? Come out of it.
And speaking of prayer,
Mhm.
I just want to mention this, that when I was at one of my deepest depths, which was about 14 years ago, and I was at the center, and I was really, really struggling with a very painful situation. And Christopher Brown, who's on the call, came over to me. I was sitting in a seat in the audience, and after service, and Christopher came over to me and he said, I was just feeling that somebody here really needs prayer. And he just came over to me. He sensed it. He felt it. He came over to me and he offered prayer, offered comfort, and I burst into tears. I didn't know I was at that edge, but he sensed it. And I even after all this time, Christopher, I want to thank you for being so sensitive and kind. Because the kindness, the compassion and kindness when we're in that deep place of pain and sorrow, is so helpful, just to have somebody listen, or to have somebody take the next step and pray with us, because the prayer is so can be so transformative if we open to it.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And thank Christopher, because he's
Yeah.
really good at being with people, including myself, in pain.
And the fact that I hadn't said anything, I hadn't said anything about this. He just found me, you know, he felt it, that there was something going on and just offered himself, and it was so perfect timing.
Cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other reflections or questions? I'm curious if people have any reactions to the idea that I'm suggesting we should go into the pain. Because sometimes science of mind only focuses on the part of the aiming towards, right? But every minister, including Reverend Sunshine this past Sunday, talks about the lowest lows too and being with them. I think I recall her talking about being on the floor crying, you know. And so yeah, I think sometimes we can get into, oh, we'll just pray away our pain instead of being with the pain. So, anybody else that have thoughts about that? Oh, I see.
Andrea, go ahead. Then Alice.
Alice, yeah.
Why don't we go with Alice, and then Lula, and then Andrea?
Okay.
Alice, hi.
You reminded me, Chantal, I want to thank you for this because my mother died almost 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And I never knew how much I loved my mother until she died.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wailed. You know, I had no idea how painful that was going to be. And I had lost my father about 5 years before that. You know, it was just time for them to go. But the depths, and then I would hear her talking to me. And if I didn't let myself feel the depth of that, I never would realize how much I love her. It's amazing to me. And I resisted, and I knew better, and I still resisted. But the lesson is always there to just, you know, do what's in front of you. It's so simple, but boy, sometimes it's so hard. Yeah.
It's really hard. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Grief is a big one, and we're really good in this culture of avoiding it, right? We don't have, most of us don't have, like, you know, really big mourning rituals that go on for a long period of time, like some cultures have. Some
Right.
within our culture do, but yeah, so it's harder to go it alone, you know. But sometimes we have to, or ask for support. Yeah.
So how about Lula? Lula has her hand up.
Yes, I used to be a proponent of stuffing my feelings, but when you stuff your feelings, they keep coming up over and over and over.
Yeah.
So now when it comes up, I name my feelings. I stay, because I find that when I name it and claim it, it's easier to pray about it, explore it, than stuffing it. Because when you're stuffing it, all the energy goes into suppression.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and when you name it and claim it, it is a release. I'm
Yes.
complete.
Thank you so much, Lula. I think that's a really good point. It'll keep coming back, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so learning to turn towards it is kind of a new strategy for people that might have avoided stuff for or taught to avoid stuff, you know. We're not really taught to delve into our pain. For me, I did that too. I repressed it, or I would become depressed, which was kind of flat, right? And so I had to train myself kind of to really go deep into it, to really go into the grief, to really go into the anger, whatever it was, and just really kind of accentuate it, you know? And that then I come out of it faster. So thank you.
Andrea, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is something that's pretty kind of new for me in the last 2 months or so. You know, I think we can all agree that we have an idea of ourselves being determined to go to higher heights based on our own thoughts and our own visions. And it reminds me of like the hero's journey, you know, the preponderance of thought on the individual. And I think it's really important to remember in anything that we do that we can reach out to our community, and that interpersonal relations that we develop to help us achieve our vision and our goal are central.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such an important point, that doing it together is even more powerful. You know, sometimes grieving as a community or celebrating as a community, right, is more powerful than doing it alone. And that's where spiritual community can really come in.
Right. Allison, go ahead.
Allison has her hand up.
Hi. Um, Thank you, Chantal. And thanks for the discussion, everyone. Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think I'm 62 now, so I know more and more people who've passed away, and I'm just more aware of my mortality. And I think that contributes to me feeling more awareness about how precious our time is while we're here.
Yeah.
And I learned in life really early on to stuff things, as Lulu was saying, and I've gotten really good at it. And it's just so that even though I'm a therapist, I've been in therapy for years, I've been at OCSL for, I don't know, close to 20 years, trying to work on stuff, but it's hard. And just recently, I felt like I got to another layer where I realized that I have to do that fastest way down is up thing. And so I've had this image of myself kind of turning around and facing the thing. Sometimes it's like a monster, sometimes it's just like fear. Lately I've been more connecting with anger too, which is like the hardest one for me. I really don't like feeling angry at all. And I agree. I think it was Lula that was talking about this, all the energy that goes into not feeling things is just makes it a lot harder to be to have the capacity for joy too. So when I have been able to feel my feelings more, I do feel like I have just more capacity to enjoy life. So, and I just feel like I have to keep reminding myself that over and over because it's just a habit, to stay to be unconscious and be asleep, I think, a lot of the time, and I'm just trying to get through the day at work and stuff. So anyway, um, yeah, thank you.
Thanks. I think I like the point of we all have like one emotion, particularly that we hate facing, or at least one, right? You pick your one, right?
Deborah, go ahead.
Chantal, we have time for one more, which is Deborah. Deborah
Great.
has her hand up.
Hi, Deborah.
Can you hear me?
Now
Now
we can.
Oh, thank you. One of the things that someone just said, well, I think it was Allison who just said how beautiful and how long she has been at the center. And it reminded me when my mom died, how painful that was for me. And I used to go up to the church and lay on the ground under the window of the center. That window is so profound for me. I used to go and just let everything out and cry. And I'll never forget how when someone heard me cry, and I thought I was by myself, someone came and just sat with me, and how they just didn't say a word. They knew I was in pain. And when I finished crying, I just explained to them my mom had just died. And I'll never forget that all of the people who found out that I was suffering at OCSL really came to my aid. They would see me crying sometimes, because sometimes I think grief doesn't have a presence of aloneness. It will just show up at any place and any time. And you just let go, even when you don't want to let go. And there were so many beautiful people at the center that just ushered me through that grieving process. Now, it's been several years since my mom has passed, and yet there are certain events that take me right there again. But I know now it's just an awareness that she's gone, and the events were those special moments that I had, and they're going to pass away. At the time of which, when she passed, I didn't think this too shall pass. I now understand this too shall pass. So when we talk about community, OCSL, the people in it, have really been a real pivotal point for me in the healing and the processing of a lot of my grief. Yeah. And I just want to say thank you. And I'm complete.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. That's a great note to end on. That when we're surrounded by compassion, it's much easier to face things. And it's a beautiful story about OCSL. And you're one of those people, that's just such a present person in the community. So thank you all.
And thank you, Chantal. It's been such a beautiful talk and a rich conversation that I kind of don't want to have to end it, like, but we do, our timing is supposed to be in by 8 o'clock. I think we're going to go a little bit over, but I do now need to move into some announcements. So, but thank you so much. I mean, this has just been a beautiful, beautiful evening. And of course, it's not over yet.
Thank you,
So-
everyone.
So Peter, can you bring up our slides? Okay, these are our announcements. So this Sunday, June 30th, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman will be speaking on Colorful to the Core. The service will include recognition and dedication of our practitioners. Meditation starts at 10 a.m., followed by service at 10:30. And then the next slide. On Wednesday, July 3rd, at our midweek Oasis, join a conversation with Reverend Sunshine, Michelle, and our own Grady Nobles for a deeper conversation on the topic, Colorful to the Core. Meditation is at 6:30 and service is at 7, as it was tonight, by Zoom, and go to www.oaklandcsl.org and click on services for the Zoom link. Join our 2024 daily community spiritual practices using the Abundance Book. It's a 40-day prosperity plan by John Randolph Price. Today we are on the 18th day of the program using the 8th affirmation in the book. Follow along daily in the order that the affirmations appear. There's 10 and then they start over again. So I think we're in our maybe 4th or 5th round of these 40 days of these affirmations. And then the next slide, Peter. We celebrate Pride Month in June, dedicated to the celebration and commemoration of our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered plus communities. Pride Month began after the Stonewall riots, a series of gay liberation protests in 1969. Our own chaplain, Doug Myers, spoke to this, I think it was last Wednesday, no, 2 Wednesdays ago. And you might want to go and listen to his talk because he really went into the history quite a bit. It was very, very, very informative. This month we celebrate Juneteenth, which was on the 19th, which is also known as Jubilee Day and Freedom Day and Black Independence Day. Next slide. The Diversity Circle will meet on Friday, June 28th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. The topic will be gender pronouns. Please visit our website and select groups for more details. So this is on Zoom Friday night. Should be very, very interesting. And this is hosted usually by Doug Myers, who I just mentioned, and Sri Devi Ramathan. And now we'll go to the next one. Our nonprofit partner for June is the Middle East Children's Alliance, or MICA, working to protect the rights and improve the lives of children in the Middle East through aid, empowerment, and education. Please visit www.mica4peace.org to learn more. And now save the date. Join us on August 17th from 12 to 5 p.m. for the ultimate family reunion of Centers for Spiritual Living in Oakland, including Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, East Bay Church of Religious Science, and Heart and Soul Center of Light. The event will be held at the Martin Luther King Jr. Regional Shoreline Park in Oakland. Stay tuned for more information. And the Spirit Treasure Bookstore celebrates Pride Month and Juneteenth. Please donate your gently used spiritual books this month and check out the discount on Buddhas. For more information, go to bookstore@oaklandcsl.org. And visit csl.org to see what is happening within our Centers for Spiritual Living global organization. Please visit our website at oaklandcsl.org and sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Village News. And remember to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for special updates and content you will only find by liking and subscribing to the Oakland Center. Please like us and subscribe to the Oakland Center today. So then I want to acknowledge our board and our team at OCSL. All of these people that you see here, our senior minister, Beth Van Arkel, Susan Brecker, all of these are the people who are behind the scenes, but also in front of the scene, in front of the camera often, who are our key people, our stakeholders at OCSL. And I just want to give a shout out to all of them and thank them here publicly on our Zoom meeting tonight, just to acknowledge their great gifts that they bring to our center. So I think now we can go to the next slide, Peter. And we're moving into our gratitude and joyous giving time. I'd like to invite you to say with me this gratitude affirmation, either with your, probably it'd be best to mute because the sound gets really garbled with everybody speaking at the same time. The more gratitude I feel, the more I am aware that the supply is infinite. And so it is. So beautiful. So I want to invite you to, if you go to our website at oaklandcsl.org, you'll see all of these squares here. And if you hit the donate button in the upper right, you will see you will see all these different ways that you can contribute financially to the center. Of course, we talk about volunteering and offering time, talent, and treasure. So these are the ways that you can contribute treasure. You can contribute financially to the center. You can use Zelle, you can text, you can use the QR code. You can, of course, in person, donate to put your donation in the baskets during service. And you can also mail a donation. So these are all ways that you can contribute. And of course, contributions are very, very much appreciated. And at this time also needed. We are, we need more financial support. So we welcome anything you can offer, even if it's just a little bit. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, which is thank you. Of course, I want to thank our speaker, Chantal. I mean, it was a wonderful, wonderful talk. And I also want to thank everybody who contributes to this service being possible. We have our lead, who is Peter Gum, Peter Gum is up in Oregon, and he's running our PowerPoint, and he's helping with admitting and just kind of the behind the scenes, helping this all run smoothly. And then we have Alice Knutson, who's been spotlighting tonight and helping and offered our opening prayer. And then sharing in management of this is Paul Prosciutti, who's not here tonight, but he's also our main host. He's our host for 2 Wednesdays or 3 Sundays. I mean, Wednesdays, if there are 3 in a month. Paul is really our anchor of hosting. And Steve Carter in our administration is also working even on the holiday. Last Wednesday, which was a work holiday for him, he sent us the documents we needed. And so I want to just thank everybody who's participated tonight to make this a a beautiful and flowing service. And of course, again, thank Chantal for this lovely, lovely talk and rich, rich conversation, very rich conversation. So now I would like to ask Chantal, Chantal, who would you, who is going to do, who will do the honors tonight with a closing prayer?
I'll do that.
Okay, okay.
Thank you so much, Judith. Thank you, Alice and Peter, for your support. And let's just breathe in together. The spirit of gratitude, just breathing in gratitude for that one power, that one presence, that one spirit that is always present, that's always surrounding us and indwelling us. That energy of peace, of love, of connection, of oneness. It's always available, and that lives and breathes through each one of us here. And so I just give thanks for a wonderful evening with this community. Just knowing that we're connected in spirit. Give thanks for everyone that's shown up, everyone that supported the service. And I just bless each one of us as we go off into our lives and give thanks for OCSL. And so it is.
And so it is.
And
Thank
so
you
it
so
is.
much. Thank you so much. This was